Hi there. Welcome back to the Evolution with Mac and Jenn podcast. I'm so excited because it's been a couple weeks since we've both been here on the podcast together. But here we are together today. I'm super excited. Hi, honey.
Hey.
So, what's going on?
Okay, so we're gonna just talk about a few different things, less on subject, but more on like you know, why do we do personal development?
Okay, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. And so nothing prepped here, just a conversation. And part of the conversation is like when we're talking to people or people are talking to us and we're trying to tell them about like, hey, if you want help with the things that you say that you want to accomplish, then come join us in the evolution membership and you'll be amazed what happens. And usually there's an excuse or something, and they kind of like hum and haw until finally it gets painful enough that they do something. So, it's just a conversation to say, like, why, when, how, like, why do we do it? Why are we part of someone else's memberships and stuff? No comment?
No, what I'm thinking, like I think that there's two kinds of people. Like there's the people that um jump into personal development when they're in like a lot of pain,
Mm-hmm.
or there's the people that are actively seeking it because they know the benefits. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so when I first got into personal development, I think most of us, when we first get into it, it's because there's pain,
Yeah.
right? So for me, there was a lot of pain in my life at the time when I got introduced into this whole new world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now that we've been in it for so many years, it's like now we actively seek out events and groups and trainings and books and all the things. Because even like for me, like I'm so open and I want to read all the books and I want to know everything. And I want to know what's wrong with me. Not because I think there's things wrong with me, but just because I want to grow, right? I want to grow. I want to get better. And I'm open to feedback from people. But I know that there's people out there that if you give them any type of feedback or you even recommend a book, they take great offense to it.
Yeah, they usually it looks something like this. Recommend a book to me.
Okay, Mac, I have a really great book that I think you should read.
Oh, what's that?
You want me to pick one?
Well, just play the game here. We're going to role play. We're going to show people what this looks like because that way they know when they're doing it.
Okay. I have a really great book. I think you should read it. I think it would really, really help you.
Okay, what book?
Um, The Four Agreements.
The Four Agreements.
hmm
What's that all about?
Well, it's just about like it's this guy and he talks about these four agreements and when you adopt these four agreements into your life, it's supposed to like help make your life better.
Is that kind of like the Seven Habits things or whatever I hear about?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I kind of read that book. I just really wasn't that into it.
Uh-huh. But this one I think would really help you.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe when I don't know, when I get time or something. Yeah, have you read this? Have you read that other book, the one about blah blah blah, whatever? I mean, that's typically what we deal with, right?
hmm
Like people, when they're sitting there telling us blah 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 blah, and then they go, and then it's like, hey, have you read this book? Have you heard this thing? Have you done that thing? Where we're making a suggestion because we can see right through them and their problems. And then it's like they either backpedal, try and tell us they've done it before, they misjudge it. Like,
Well, I mean, when we went through one of the books on our book club, the last book we did,
mhm.
and then I had, I have women reaching out to me all the time about various things, especially like relationship stuff.
Mhm.
And I recommended that book to like all of them. And because it was perfect, exactly what so many of them needed to hear.
Yep.
And I don't think any of them actually, not any of them, but like a lot of, some of them just kind of brushed it off and were like, oh yeah, and I don't know, whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
So
I even told one girl, I said, you don't even have to read the book. You can just listen to the recordings and I'll read it to you.
yeah.
And I don't know if they did or not, but like a lot of times, yeah, when you start recommending, like people, it's just interesting how people will come to me or come to us seeking out help, and then you tell them exactly what to do, and then they don't do any of
And they
it.
make a bunch of excuses. And then they wonder why they're in the same damn spot.
I There was one lady, and I'm not she she found me in a Facebook group. She reached out. She said, "Can you help me with something?" And I said, "What is it?" And she told me what she needed help with, and I recommended let's get on a call together, right? And I spent an hour with her on Zoom. We had a great call. Like, I mean, I was just blowing her mind with everything, blowing her mind. But for her, like, of course, money was an issue because I, wanted her to further working with me, even in just our membership, which is only $97 a month, right?
Which if like to not afford the value of $100 membership with everything we deliver and everything else, to say I can't afford it is a absolute lie.
Which is fine. But the thing is I actually told her because I wanted to help her. I said, "What would be comfortable for you as far as like price?" And like I'm willing to, work with you on it, basically.
Hmm.
Well, no response actually, but she's still in the same group asking the same questions in the same place, still stuck, not getting anywhere, of course. And I just like, I feel for her. And I just, like, I know her pain is big, but it's like,
It's still comfortable to her.
it must be still comfortable to her because she's not, like, she's still seeking help in the group and asking the questions, but she's not, like, I don't see her taking any steps further. So it's really like it's hard to see that.
Yeah, and just to clarify when I say it's an absolute lie when somebody says they can't afford $100 membership, because this is why I say it. It's not that you can't, it's that you won't. It's that you spend money somewhere else to to justify not doing it or doing it. But either the pain will get great enough or your desire will get great enough. One of those two things is what gets people to move. Sometimes we have to get people to realize what they actually desire in order to do it, or we just sit back and try not to give them too much stuff to keep them comfortable so that they'll wake up and actually jump in and start getting the results that they're looking for and learning in the education pieces and everything else. And I'm saying this a little bit bluntly, just to kind of wake a few people up. Not because I'm going to judge the crap out of you or anything else. It's just simply there's a lot of people that say they want something and they're just talking. They don't actually mean it. And to me, that is just like breaking your word. It's like telling lies. That's me. I'm a very like aggressive, like, okay, if you want to do it, let's do it. And I don't care what's happened. I just want to go. Let's go. Okay, let's do this. And what we offer is so far above what you're going to get in most other places. There's people out there charging that charge $10,000 for what we do weekly. Like there's people in the membership that are getting their lives changed in a single call, in a group call, like that dramatically changes their lives because they were there. and we just like things happen, the energy aligns and everything, and then boom, it's pretty incredible. But there's somebody else out there that's going to tell you they can do it. They're going to sign you up in a mastermind, and they're going to leverage everybody else's stuff. And if it doesn't work out for them, they quit on you. That's what these people do. And on the other hand, there's me, been doing it for, well, you've been doing it 10 years. I've been doing it over 10 years. And or close. I mean, you've been officially a coach a little less, right? But you've been personal development and helping people for 10 years.
My personal development journey started in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And part of that, you were helping people. You just weren't called a coach.
Right.
Yeah. So and probably doing it before then, just like I was, where people would come to me, I would try and help them. I didn't know what coaching was at the time, but I was still moving people, and I knew this. I knew that when people came around me and associated with me, their lives got better. Why? At the time, I didn't know. It was just because I held a standard and I was driven for desires to get more. I wanted more, but I didn't know how, and I didn't understand what paying for coaching meant. And it was hard until it got painful enough,
Hmm.
right? And then you start to see it, and you kind of start to realize that, like, hey, any great athlete that wants to be the top achiever, they hire the best trainers, the best coaches. So anybody that wants to really run a good business, they might go to the best school, right? Or they get a good coach. And so you start looking at that and you start going, wait a minute, if I want to achieve these great things, either I can try and figure it out and go through all the pain and lessons and everything else with somebody else, or I could talk to somebody that's actually done it, that's kind of been where I'm at, done it, and I can value their information and they can see what I need because they've been there. And then they can show me what's next. And I can skip years of pain and suffering and struggle because they can go, do this. Now that you've done that, do this. Now that you've done that, winning.
Because the idea is all about collapsing time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And also getting through like things easier when you're learning from somebody that has done it, which also collapses time because
Mm-hmm.
you're not stuck in the struggle and in the pain, right?
Yep.
Right. So it's really good.
Yeah. Let's slow down for a second, a little bit, and go back to the question of, well, just some more talk about um, what do you think your biggest financial decision was? May not be, may not have been the most expensive, or it might have been, but it was probably the hardest that required a large amount of money, but you knew you had to do it.
I feel like I can think of like three off the top of my head,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
The first time I ever invested in a mentor, or which, like I say, I invested in myself, but I
Mhm.
invested in a mentor. The very first time, it was $500. And that was kind of scary because I'd never done anything like that before. I
Mhm.
was just all blind, like hope, faith, hands up in the air, like, okay, you say this, and I honestly feel like I had to borrow the money from him and then I paid him back, if that makes sense.
Really?
Yeah. Like I think he put it on his like my mentor paid for my mentorship on his credit card and then I paid him back.
You mean you just didn't have cash laying around like you do now?
No, no. And it was very interesting how that all happened. But that was scary, right? That was the
Mhm.
first, and that was the first time. Um, the second time I remember, this is just off the top of my head, was I was at Tony Robbins
Mhm.
and of course they were pitching their stuff, right?
Phil, yeah.
And while I was there, I bought a package for $10,000, which was a little I was ready
Big.
though, like I wanted it. But it was a hard decision because at the time I was married to my ex, who's my ex-husband now, and so like I actually had to call him on the phone and kind of ask him and talk to him about it because he wasn't there.
Right.
And couldn't just spend $10,000 without having a conversation with him, begging pretty much, but closed the deal, got it done. And then probably the last time was when I hired my coach
Mhm.
because at that time I pretty much just become a single mom and I have a savings, but didn't ever feel like I just had that kind of money laying around,
Mhm.
but um and so that was a little scary, nerve-wracking, but it worked out okay. Like I just Venmo'd him and Venmo wouldn't let me do such a large transaction in one, so I had to break it up in two.
Mhm.
And so there was a couple little hiccups in that, but it was great. And all three of those instances, I feel like changed my life and did help me collapse time from from who I was to who like I'm becoming and who I want to be. So I'm grateful and I'm grateful for it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my biggest one was Warrior Week by
Hmm.
far. Because one, it looked like a it looked like this like Navy SEAL type training crap, whatever. I didn't know what it was, and they're supposed to help me, and I was just like, I don't know if this is like I don't even know what this is. Like I'm not signing up for some go rub dirt in my face, call myself a man bullshit, whatever. But something about it just felt like that's where I needed to be for whatever reason. There was some other things, but I was fighting it emotionally, mentally. I was fighting it pretty hard, but the timing of it was right. As in, like I prayed about it, and but before any of it happened, and then it fell in my lap, and I was like, so I was kind of thinking back and forth. I could just feel it internally, just like, man, like, do you know how you get the like in under 5 seconds, you kind of get a feeling. It's like I have to do this, right? But then if you don't do it, it starts to pass, and then pretty soon you're not doing it because you've figured out all these reasons why not to do it.
Yes.
But when you know you had the feeling, you kind of just know you have to do it,
Yes.
right?
I believe that's like a like almost like God speaking to you
Mm-hmm.
in a way,
Spirit, yeah.
at telling you, to what kind of guiding you and what to do. And when we don't listen to that voice, that's when we start to feel like regret, guilt, and shame
Lost.
and lost. Right. And um, so you hear the voice and then when you take action on it, it's better because if you don't, that like I said, if you hear it and the more you ignore it, the more regret you feel moving forward
Yeah,
until you
well,
listen.
and it's so confusing because you get a hit is what I call it. You get this hit. This is what I need to do. And when you kind of like and you second guess it, and then pretty soon now you become the decision maker instead of God or the you can call it the universe, source, whatever. I call it God. Now, if I get the hit and I follow it, that to me that's God leading me somewhere. And if I trust that, no matter what happens, even if total disaster happens, I can still trust it. When I
Hmm.
quit trusting it and I start relying on my own fucking ability, then that's when I get lost. That's when everything becomes like stressful, more chaotic. And so if I'm under a lot of stress and I'm operating in my own systems, that's the worst. I can go off of those hits and follow, and get wiped out financially, like total destruction, and be like, I don't care. I know this is true. Like I can't tell you why. Trust the process. Let's just keep going.
Because typically, if you hear it on your heart,
Mhm.
right, you have, what'd you say, 5 seconds?
That we call it the 5 second rule.
You have like 5 seconds, and typically after once 5 seconds passes, that's when your head starts coming in and telling you all the fear
Mhm.
and why you shouldn't do it and
All the
what could go
blocks.
wrong. And so that's when the head starts coming in. And so when you hear it on your heart, like you want to move and just take action regardless of like what happens and not listen to your head, because if you're hearing the things in your heart and you're letting your head decide, you are living life from a space of fear.
Yeah.
If you hear it on your heart and then you just take action and move without before you let your head start coming in, you're living life um from a place of like truth, or a place that like you're being guided. And so when you're being guided, it is easier to trust what you're doing because you're not really the one in control.
Mhm.
True, that's true. But if if you hear it on your heart and your head comes in and you listen to your head, you're living life from fear, which is why um, life isn't as abundant, doesn't it feel as
It's
abundant as it could
joyful.
be, or joyful or fulfilling as it could be, because every decision you're making is coming from a place of fear rather from a place of like empowerment or love or truth or guidance,
Which,
heart led.
yeah. Which is not to say that when you follow the hit, you're not going to be afraid, right? Like,
It doesn't mean you won't be afraid, and it doesn't mean that everything's always going to work out the way you think it should.
never does. Sometimes better, sometimes it seems worse, but in the end, the result is what it should have been.
Right. But if you're living life from that place, that space, life does become more joyous and beautiful and fulfilling, and because it's not led by fear,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Well, there's just there's it's this combination of trust, submission, humility, faith, hope, all these different things, but it's solidified in something different. It's not just excitement and whatever. There's something to it that says that's what I need to do. And it's usually a calm inner hit that just gives you something to go with. And it's like, I don't even know what's coming next, but I just know that's where I need to go. So and honestly, this is kind of how I've operated with a lot of different things, other than a few times I've probably gotten excited and just done it because I wanted to, which is fine, you figure it out. But the bigger things were more like, okay, I have to do this. And so I see this Warrior Week thing, and it's coming at me from different directions, and I'd kind of been avoiding it. I knew it was coming. And then it comes right, just hits me right in the face, phone call from a guy, and I'm just like, oh fuck. Like I don't know, and so, but I had the feeling. Well, as soon as I had the feeling, I knew there was something inside of me that said, you're doing this. But then I'm almost trying to get myself away from it or trying to do this. And I'm like going back and forth with myself, but I'd kind of already made the decision. So the decision was made. In other words, I wasn't allowing myself to get talked out of it. So it was kind of like, I don't know why I do this, but I already said, okay, I'll do it. And then I'm like, why am I doing this? But I'm committed. So credit cards up, whatever. And I don't even know what this is going to look like. As far as I know, it's one week, it's $10,000, and I don't even know what's what. Next thing I know, it's not a week, it's a month of every single day doing something to get in, lead up to it. And I'm like, holy shit, what is this? And it just starts to have an impact. Then I find out not only that, but I gotta pay more money, and then I gotta do this, and then it comes down to $5,000 a month after that. And so it's a overall for a couple years and still continuing, but the initial part of it's over $100,000, just to run through the like major stage of the training that they do. And so that was a big, probably the biggest financial move and scariest because there were a lot of things happening at the time. A lot, and I wasn't just doing that. I was trying to keep a company running and a lot of other things. So it was crazy in that respect. But
What was it that made you decide to do it?
to do it,
Besides like the guidance that you felt, was it, do you like, was there like
well,
pain in your
oh, there
life?
was a ton of pain.
Was
There's a ton of pain. So I mean, it all kind of started at the point when I had like my affair with my last marriage, right? Like one time deal for whatever reason, wound up in the wrong place and had an affair. And then I was like, this is bullshit. Like I don't know what the hell happened to me to wind up here, but this isn't right. And I can't do this. And so that from there, I started changing everything. I basically ended any communication there, pushed that aside. So I got to figure out what's wrong. How did I get here? And I can't go back. What do I have to change? What do I have to fix? That started with stumbling onto a detox program. Same thing. I had a feeling there's something about this. So I dug in and dug in and dug in until I actually got certified in it. So I knew what it was. And then I did it. It changed a lot of different things. So that's one of the reasons why I use that with a lot of our clients because I know the value personally of it. There were spiritual things happening, physical things happening, a lot of different connections inside. Just fixing the physical part of me helped move the next things. So I do that, then I'm getting more in tune with. I kind of re-engaged a lot of training. Um, I don't even remember everything, but I at that point I started working out again, and it was actually working after the detox. But um, and so I'm working through these processes, but I was still really struggling. The one thing that was still haunting me was the pornography and masturbation. That was the thing that was still haunting me. I had everything else going, seemed like it was going well, and but this one thing just wouldn't stop. I'd quit, years ago. I quit drinking, then I quit smoking, then I quit sugar, then it's like this one thing was still there, and that wasn't really. It's not like I was focused on at the top of my head. It wasn't like I was just thinking, oh yeah, I really need to do this. I just kind of pray about it. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, you need to help me with this. I don't, kind of just submitting to Jesus or God or whatever. I was just being like, I'm lost. Like I know this isn't good, but I don't know what to do. And my marriage at the time was a fucking disaster. Like there was just arguments going nonstop, disagreements. Like to me, it felt like she was always presenting a front and then doing things that she started doing things that were out of alignment with my integrity. And I started to kind of put my foot down and saying, no, this isn't what we agreed upon. We'd already had a major business failure before, and things were starting to creep back in that direction. And I was like, I'm not doing this. And I was like, I don't want to have anything hidden, right? I want to be able to expose anything. Not, I don't want any whatever. And so as I was trying to figure that out, then all of a sudden this just lands on my lap. So with a lot of just basically a really strong desire to get better. Like at the time, I wouldn't say there was a lot of pain. There definitely was pain, but the relationship parts had gotten a little better, I guess. I was still working like crazy. I don't know that that's ever going to change that much. I just keep going. Which it's just I don't mind going. I just like to go in a different direction. That's mainly what I'm working on. And so as I was doing that, I was just basically asking God for guidance. And all of a sudden, here it comes.
I feel like I just sneezed.
Against these.
I think that like you were praying and asking and it came and you answered the call.
Yeah. And it's not like I was on my knees, please God, it was just, it was kind of like this. I need your help. Like, I don't know what to do. It was more like a thought.
And I think a lot of people pray and ask for help and ask for guidance and basically with your hands up in the air. And it doesn't usually look like on our knees with the hands up in the air. At least it doesn't for me. Sometimes like it's me crying in bed at night
Or in the
back,
shower,
yeah,
or
or just like in the car, just like, you know, like what do I do? What do I do? Like why is my life a mess, right?
mhm,
Um, and then God answers our prayers a lot of times by putting people or things in front of us and and then we don't. What?
just saying, like you're looking at them.
Oh. But then we don't like we don't accept it. We deny the blessing. We we don't see it, right? And so for me, as somebody who um, likes to be used by God to answer people's prayers, I just have to remember that um, everybody's on their own journey
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
the right
It's
people,
frustrating though.
I know the right people at the right time will come to us and be in our lives um and so like it's great because I have to remember like we can't help everybody, right? But we can, but for the people that want it, like we're here with open arms, ready to go.
Yeah, and I think we're going to talk about this a little more as time goes on. Um, but there is a serious call out when both of us are geared to serve. I've been that way since I was a kid. Whether you paid me or didn't pay me, if I was doing a job, I did the best I could. Um, and maybe that was instilled in me at a young age of just like do good work um, and so when we can't, we're frustrated. Any anybody that's really genuinely like a really good coach is very frustrated with most of the people they deal with because they want to help really bad and then we have to force ourselves to go, it's not their path, right? Like it's not their journey. Like it's not you this time. So shut up, keep doing what you do, and just keep stick to the course. But watching so much chaos happen, and we're not saying that we don't need our own coaches. Okay, we have our own coaches. What we're just saying is you when you feel like you have a gift to serve and help people, you want God to be able to use you. And so that's just part of who we are and what we want. And so with that, when somebody, I have directly asked people this question. Have you prayed about it? Yeah, I've been praying to God that he would help me do da 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 da. And I've looked him dead in straight in the eyes and gone, and I'm sitting right in front of you. And they just go silent, and yet they still don't do what they're telling me they really need this and this, and I'm going, excuse me, that is exactly what I can help you with. So what is your holdup? And they just and and then they don't do anything, and I'm just like, I don't get it. You pray about it, it shows up. I'm telling you word for word, and all you can do is make the next excuse, the next excuse, the next excuse. I'm just like, next. Like, I mean, what am I going to do? Like, I can't make a horse drink water,
Hmm.
right? So,
Yeah, like the lady in that Facebook group. Like I
yeah,
can't make her do anything. Like I pray for her and pray, but yeah, it's like we could have this turned around for you so fast.
I think I'm a little more like, oh, you don't want to drink water? Let's go run. I'm like, I'm gonna kick you in the teeth and run you in circles until you're ready to drink some water, like.
Hmm.
But I don't know. That's just, I guess, a little bit of our story, a little bit of the struggles of what it is, a little bit of a wake up call saying, get off your ass, and a lot of saying, hey, why don't you play bigger? You know you want to. You know, you like, if you're still listening to me at this point, you know there's something inside of you that wants more out of life than what you're allowing yourself to get. So why don't you just play a little bigger? Step up and say, "Hey, I'm ready. I'll do what it takes. Tell me what, like, help me, guide me, give me a suggestion. I'll take it. I'll run with it." And remember that we're not saying this out of just like, "Oh, we just became a coach yesterday and we do this." No, like, I don't need to be a coach to make money. I don't. I do it because I love it. It's that simple. I do it because I'm good at it. I do it because I feel like God gave us a gift to do that. I feel like the dynamic between the two of us is extremely powerful, and me without her is not the same. Her without me is not the same. I tell women, you need to be listening to her, to what she's doing, if you want to get a man to show up with the way you actually want him to show up, especially with relationship type stuff. And honestly, if you're in a relationship, that is probably your number one priority in life, second to God being the number one priority. But most people, it's like that's where their struggle is. They spend too much time and exhaust themselves inside of a messed up relationship, too much energy spent, even if a lot of times, even if they're not talking to the other person, it's just all up here. What's going on with him? What's going on with her? No, 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 no. And it kills their energy. They've got none left.
Mm,
And it's like, you don't have to operate that way. And on top of that, like, a lot of people are messed up in their bodies. Okay, pay attention. We're doing pretty good. We're not perfect, but we're doing pretty good. And we've both been places that we don't want anybody to be, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
yeah, you've been there, I've been there, like, in different ways. And it's like, hey, we pay a lot of attention to our bodies. We pay a lot of attention to our looks, our physical, our health, all those things. Pay a hell of a lot of attention to our relationship and making sure that we're having a good relationship, or trying to figure it out. And number one, trying to make sure we're growing, right? Making sure for her, it's like, does this feel like love? Like, daily, does this feel like love? And if it doesn't, what do we need to change? And can it be more? And mine is like, does this feel like joy? Because I'll overwork and sometimes get disconnected. And it's like, whoa, hold up, slow down, enjoy this. Right.
Mm-hmm. You're doing great. Keep talking.
Okay. So I'm just going to say it's time for you to do something different, to step up, to actually just give yourself permission to reach out. And the next time you hear that hit that comes in and says, you know what, there's your answer. That's what you need to do. Don't question it. Just make a move. Trust that even if it's scary, or your brain tries to tell you something else, just make the move. Trust that your next step will be shown to you when you need to see it.
Yes.
Anything else?
Not at the moment. I don't.
Okay.
I can't think of. I'm
No,
just.
land it. We're just going to land it with that, and tell you, I mean, if nothing else, come join us or reach out and say, what do I do? And please listen when we have that conversation, so that we can actually move you quickly. We've got resources and access to things that there's, I don't think there's anything that we can't help or guide with. And if we can't, we definitely know someone that can, and we will tell you that.
And no matter what you want, you can have it
Mhm.
regardless of your current circumstances now.
You can do it.
If you can dream it, you can have it. You just have to decide and then just start taking action. Current circumstances, regardless of what they are now, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
You just have to decide.
Yep.
I want to lose the weight. I want to be happy. I want an amazing relationship. I want my dream home. Whatever you want, like whatever you want, you have, just regardless of your circumstances now, it's possible
Yeah. And you can do it. Trust me, you can do it.
and you can do it. Just have to decide.
All right. We'll see you guys. Till next time.
All right. Bye.